So this lesson comes from Go Math, lesson 5.4, in which we're finding the percent of a quantity. And the word quantity is really just a fancy word for saying the percent of a given amount. So as our essential question reads, how do you find a percent of a quantity? Just keep in mind, you're trying to find the percent of an amount of something. The unlock the problem reads, a typical family of 4 uses about 400 gallons of water each day, and 30% of this water is for outdoor activities, such as gardening. How many gallons of water does a typical family of 4 use each day for outdoor activities is what our question is. We're going to align that with some important facts that we're going to go ahead and circle. One being that typical family uses about 400 gallons, circle that round up, and using 400 gallons of water each day, but 30% of this is for the outdoor activities that we're asked to find out in the problem itself. I'm going to go one step further, and I'm going to even highlight the word of. I'm sure you know exactly why. Well, look at thinking a little bit. Before we even get down to the gritty solving the problem, doing the computation, let's think about some benchmarks for a moment. Because I know you remember that working with benchmarks really helps us determine, is our actual final answer even reasonable? And I've done all my computation accurately, my answer should be, just so I recall, here's my halfway mark. But I'm only concerned with these first 3 boxes. And the reason why is because 30% is really just 3 groups of 10%. So as this model divided for us nice and evenly, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, this 10% plus 20 plus 30 plus 40 plus 50, all the way up to 100, I'm only really going to concern myself with these first 3 boxes here. Well, find the value of 10% of 400. Well, I know you can use logical reasoning to find that amount, but for the sake of it, let's look at the math that's behind finding 10% of 400. Well, in previous lessons, we've been looking at changing a percent into a fraction, and since percent means per 100, 10%